Okay, I'm here with my roommates, and we're going over my final website video for the Developing World class. So these are my roommates. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Tom Jangila.
I'm Christopher Corbley.
Yep, so I guess we'll just go through and work on what you talked about in the prompt. So, you guys went to my website, you read it, and so what is some questions that you came up with? You said 3, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what was yours, Tom? I'll start with you.
First question is, what's the national language in Yemen?
National language in Yemen is Arabic, and so it's been that way for a while. That's the predominant language.
My first question would be, what is their government structure?
Government structure. Yemen has, they call it a republic, with a bicameral legislature, and they just elected in 1990. It was 311 seats, representative seats, and they have a president as well. And right now they're working on actually getting a new president, or they might have just worked on getting a new president in the country.
Okay. Alright, my next question would be about there's a popular video game out right now called Call of Duty Black Ops 2. And they actually have Yemen as one of the levels that you can play, and it depicts it as a coastal area of the town, and the city's in ruins. Is that very accurate?
Well,
I guess the modern day Yemen right now.
Yeah, Yemen is on the coast, and there's a lot of from what you said, it kind of makes sense, and it's that same sort of way. It's ruins, and it's pretty underdeveloped, and high desert area, and just overall, yes, I think so. Yeah.
What's the predominant religion in Yemen?
Religion is Muslim, and there's 2 main types. I'm not sure exactly. One of them was Shiite.
Sunni?
Yeah, Sunni is what I meant.
Oh,
that's the other one. Yep, that's exactly it. Yeah. So Shiite and Sunni, and so those are the 2 predominant ones that are in Yemen right now for religion.
Well, embarrassing. I'm blanking on my last question. If you have one, go.
My last question, probably the most important question. What is the national sport, or the most popular sport that's in Yemen?
Yemen's really into football, not like American football, but like soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's probably their main one, I think, that they play down there.
Yeah, I think they're in the World Cup down there.
Are they?
I think they're trying to get into the World Cup.
Do you have any more about the website or anything?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, as I was looking through it, it looked like there was a lot of terrorist activity going on, terrorism going on. How is the country coping with that, or what are their strategies to overcome that or get better as a country?
Yeah, terrorism is a pretty predominant thing in there. Al-Qaeda is working in Yemen, and so they're working. The country's trying to get them out and get terrorism out of the country, and so they're working on, like I said earlier, they got a new president, and they're working on just kind of changing laws and things to get them out of the country and to make it a safer country with less terrorism. Yes, those are those 3. So on the website, if you looked at it, I'll pull it up really quick so you can see. It talks about the 8 developmental goals, or the Millennium Developmental Goals, and so I'm just going to take a little bit of time and explain to you guys and teach you about the goals and how Yemen's doing with each of those goals. And so these goals, they actually came from a summit in 2000, in the year 2000, and what it is there's 8 set goals for all these countries that participated in it, and they're hoping to achieve their goals by the year 2015. And so it's a good way to kind of rank their country and see how things are going, and just to see how they can improve and what they really need to improve on. And so the 8 goals are poverty and hunger, so getting those out of the country. The second one's education, so everyone's just achieving a primary education, like the kindergarten through 12th grade. Third one is gender equality and empowerment, making sure that the men and women are equal. Next is child mortality rates, so getting those down, because there's usually, depending on the country, a lot of them actually have high mortality rates. Maternal health, which kind of goes along with the child mortality, and HIV and AIDS is one of them. Malaria and other diseases are in that. And the last two are kind of within the country itself, about sustainability, so making sure that they can have everything that they need within the country. And also the last one is global partnerships, so their trade and everything, and trying to get those improved. So with Yemen, we actually made a PowerPoint that talks about it, and so I thought that was really interesting, and it kind of goes through how they're doing with each of those goals, so I'll just go through those with you guys. So far, since they started in 2000 to 2005, with the first goal is eradicating extreme poverty and hunger. So you see right here, it says that the poverty rate declined from 40% to 34.8%. And so in Yemen, they're working on poverty, and they're trying to get it done and everything. But it's still a pretty big problem. Like 10% of the population lives on less than $1 a day. Think about with us, like trying to live on less than $1 per day. Everything that we have to buy is crazy. I'm pretty sure that's almost impossible for us. But there's a poverty line, and 17% of them are living below that. And what they're trying to do is, one of the main production things that they have in Yemen is cereal, and so like that supply and demand has kind of gone down. So they're working on new ways and new things that they can supply or export to other countries in order to make jobs for people within their country, to make sure that the poverty and hunger goes down. Yeah, the rates would go down. And the second one is education, which they're actually doing really good at. They're putting up lots of schools. Last I heard, they were putting up, statistics said they're putting up 3 schools a day for children and for kids, so that was really cool. The people who go through elementary education is around 55%, but it's still not the best. There's right there it says 33% are out of school, and it's also a big difference between women or boys and girls going to school, because they have a really big issue with gender equality, because they're so cultural, and they're so have the customs for the women to stay home, and the women are kind of put secondly to men, and so education's not a big thing, a big part of them. So only 38% of girls were in school and 63% of boys, but they've actually both increased to now 52% of boys and 72% of girls are starting to go to school. And their big problem right here, number 3, gender equality and empowerment of women. Even though, like I talked about, that even though females have started to go to school and young girls are starting to go to school, still males' enrollment rates remain higher. This is actually a pretty cool fact right here. The average female illiteracy rate is 74.1%. So that's almost 3 out of every 4 women in Yemen are illiterate. So that probably makes it a lot harder as well for them to become equal with men. If you can't read or write, what else are you going to do except for work and do what the man tells you to do and fall into like what they think would be your place? And one of the main reasons that they're dropping out of school and how they're not equal is because early marriage, and they're getting married really early, and they have like the arranged marriages and things, and so it's hard for them to stay in school, and they just have to drop out and start having kids earlier, working with them. But there is things they're trying to do. There's a woman minister and there's female undersecretaries, so they're starting to get into government, which I think would be the best way for them to get the equality there, because once you start from the inside the government and work out, then you can have a better impact. The next spot is reduce child mortality. The mortality rate for infants is 60.4 out of 1,000 births, and it's a little bit above average of the mortality rates, and pretty high. And This is because contagious and epidemic diseases are widespread in the country. So there's a lot of AIDS and HIV, and most of it was from malnutrition, from babies not being fed right, or also low birth weight. That was the other one. That their birth rate's really low, so they're kind of dying off. But their goal is to extend primary health care to rural areas, so different places within there, and help out with giving children mortality rate better. And that also helps with maternal health, which is the next one. That Yemen's still one of the countries grappling with health problems affecting the entire population, particularly maternal and child health. There's a quote here. It says, "Majority of deliveries take place at home, using the traditional methods which jeopardize the health of mothers and children." So what they're doing with that is they're starting to come out with new awareness and contraceptive options, and also with healthcare, making it so the women who are pregnant are healthy, and that they're having babies in hospitals where there's professionals to help them out rather than just at home. 6.1, HIV, AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. There's been a big increase with HIV and AIDS. So in 1990, there was only one reported case, but in 2000, it increased to 874. And 77% of these are with men. A lot of it's from kind of the blood donations and transfusions. So that's one of the main problems, because they're not monitoring or checking for the right blood and making sure no one has those issues with health. But the main thing is malaria is one of the main causes of death among all age groups. So what they're doing right now is they're setting up a coalition, and they're setting up different organizations to go out and to teach children in schools about malaria and about AIDS and HIV. And they're working with them to start from the youth, and the youth can go up and making awareness within the parents as well. And so as the years continue to go on, they hope that the malaria and disease and HIV will lower. 7th one is ensure environmental stability. 3 main problems that Yemen has is they don't have very much water, the soil isn't very good, and their forests are starting to fade. And the way they're fixing this and working on it is they're having what's called the poverty reduction strategy, which will have a direct impact on the sustainability. So working with the poverty line first and making sure that everyone has a home and everyone's working within those homes, and not living under the poverty line. And so they're using the resources that they need and within their country. But the main problem is water reached a critical state, so they're starting to ask for help from other countries. There's lots of news articles about people coming in and helping Yemen out about their water issues. Last one is Global Partnership for Development. So I'm just going to kind of read these off because they're really good. Yemen's developed 2 5-year plans to bring the economy back to stability. The budget deficit's under control and at a 3% level of the GDP. There's laws and legislations being made and amended to give more independence to the bank, so the central bank, so they have more power within the government. And the Yemen's foreign debt from international and regional organizations account for 40% of gross current debt, where bilateral debt and trade facilities account for the remaining 60. So their debt's with trading, and so they need to work on getting exports, just like I said with the cereal was their main thing, and now it's starting to decline, but they need to work with that to get it better. And just the last little part, talking about critiquing the goals. So what do you guys think about, like, just in general, 8 millennial goals, like, within a country? I think those 8 are good, or?
It's good. They do seem very they're impressive goals, but they seem almost a little too big sometimes. But I mean, they're showing strides on a lot of them, so that is really impressive.
What about you, Tom? What do you think about just goals in general?
Yeah, I think thoughts, we need too many of them, kind of fades away and isn't as effective, but I think still, they're making good strides towards them, and, maybe narrow down to a few important ones, and then, add those on top, but if they're headed in the right direction, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like, if you just take those 8 goals, and as a country you go in and you figure out 4 ones that you really want to focus on, or four that are the four main problems, I think that'd be a lot better. Because especially with Yemen, personally, they need the gender equality is a big one, poverty is another one, the sustainability, and also the education, more than anything else. And so with those four, I think if you were just to focus much of their efforts on those beforehand and then work on the other ones later, it probably would be a lot more beneficial to them as a country and also for other countries as well. Can country improve in a meaningful way? But yeah, just working on those goals and making sure that, I think the biggest one with them is the gender equality, because women don't have as many rights as they do with the men. And so with the future, they're working on getting their new presidency and getting their new government, and so things are working out well. They're on their way to becoming a better country and becoming more developed and becoming more sustainable, and also working with trade as well. So you guys learn about Yemen a lot and 8 developmental goals.
Yeah, that's good.
Any other questions or anything?
Not that come to mind.
That's really good. Thanks.
All right. Well, I believe that is it then.